Carol, what exactly happened to you in this house when you slept here one night?
Okay, first of all, I was sleeping in this bedroom in here, which is generally my mother's and father's bedroom, but I just happened to be sleeping here that night. And I was in a deep sleep, and my girlfriend was sleeping in that room with her animals. Now, one of her animals, a Siamese cat, came in and woke me up, or tried to wake me up several times, and I finally did wake up. I lay there and I thought, well, it'll go away, you know, and then it just kept rubbing against, like, my face and everything. So I was like this, and I sat up to turn this light on. I said, this is the only way I'm going to get rid of this cat, by turning the light on. And I sat up to do that, and I never got the light turned on because I sat up. I realized that there was a light there, and the cat, who was still here, was also looking at, you know, this light, which was right at this window. At first, I saw a little figure. It was female. And she had her hands up to her mouth, and so she wasn't quite sure whether or not she wanted to do this. She was very shy, you know, going like this. And, of course, all this happened in a matter of split seconds. She got larger, and I realized that definitely it was a female figure with a white, the brightest white I'd ever seen, nightgown on, and very small shoulders, you know, slender. And I said, Marion? Marion?
Carol awakened me in the middle of the night by calling out my name quite urgently, and I woke up, and the first time I heard my name, I didn't want to respond to it because it frightened me. And then she screamed out my name louder again, so
I blinked my eyes again, and I realized that I could see through her, and I realized then that it wasn't Marion. And she right away started communicating to me through her hands. Now, her hands started to go through washing movements. And she got larger as she came to me. Now, as I got scared in direct proportion to her approach. And I knew that she wanted me to do something. She was desperate in a way. And at that point, I really was scared, and I ducked under the covers, so to speak. And I just called Marion.
And then she screamed out my name louder, and there was quite a note of urgency in her voice, so I got out of bed and I went running across the hall to the room in which she was sleeping. And she clutched at me and said, Marion, I have just seen a ghost. And I believed her because it was very real. Past my fear, I sensed that there was something evil. There was an evil presence.
If Bob, Marion, and Carol truly experienced a ghostly visit, then Hans Holzer must determine whose ghost was abroad that night and find a way to put it to rest. Hans Holzer is convinced there is merit to the eyewitness accounts of a haunting at Port Clyde. He has enlisted the help of psychic Ingrid Beckman for the next phase of his investigation. Ingrid works as a book designer for a New York publisher. She became aware of her psychic abilities, her special sensitivities to emanations 5 years ago, and has worked with Holzer on a number of similar investigations. She knows nothing about Port Clyde, the former occupants of the old house, or the circumstances of the haunting.
Hans, immediately I feel the presence of a woman.
What about this room?
Well, this presence comes from another house that was on this property, so that I don't feel it in any particular room, but I do feel that I should go upstairs because I think there'll be more up there.
Hans depends on Ingrid's sensitivity to impressions of the past that may remain in the structure, and to any non-visible emanations she may detect.
As I go through this house, I can see in my mind's eye the house that was on the property before. And in my mind, I sense a field back in this direction. And there was land that went with this.
Now we're upstairs. I want you to look at every room and give me your impressions of it.
Well, the upstairs is the most active. I sense a woman who is waiting. And I have an impression now of a storm that she is very upset about. A gale of some kind. It seems to be November. I also feel that that she has looked out of not this very same window, but windows in this direction of the house. And I just got an impression where she says she, meaning a schooner, was built on the Kennebec River. It seems to be a, I think it's a double-masted schooner. And it seems to be her husband who's on this.
Ship registries of the 19th century confirm that a whaler named Catherine sailed from these waters. Records of her crew, however, are lost.
What does she look like?
I see a tall woman who's rather thin and frail with dark hair, and it appears to be a white gown. Could be a nightgown I see her in. Looks like a nightgown to me, with a little embroidery on the front, hand done.
Let us see if she cares to make contact with us.
We'll go back into that first room then.
If the entity is present and wishes to talk to us, we've come as friends.
She's very unhappy here, Hans. She says her family hails from England. I get her name is Margaret.
Margaret what?
Something like H or something of that sort. I'm not getting the whole name.
What period are we in now?
This is, now she says 1843. She's very unhappy because she wanted to settle in Kennebunk. She does not like it here. She doesn't like the responsibilities of the house.
How did she get here?
Her husband liked it in this fishing village. She was very unhappy about his choice.
Now, is she here?
She calls Kennebunk the city. That to her is a center.
Why is she still here?
She's left with all this responsibility. Her husband went on a ship. Her husband had a commission.
What kind of a commission?
On a whaling ship.
What was the name of the ship?
St. Catherine or St. Catherine's.
The ship didn't come back.
No.
Where did they get married? In what church?
Lutheran.
Does she remember the name of the minister?
Thorpe. Thomas Thorpe.
When they were married, was that in this town?
No.
What town was it in?
Long way away. Some kind of a province of a place.
And they came right here after that?
Went into Saco.
And then where did they move to?
Clyde. Port Clyde.
Now, she and her husband lived here alone?
2 children.
What were their names?
Philip. But he went to sea.
And the other one?
Francis.
Did he go to sea too?
No.
What happened to him?
I think Francis died.
What did he die of?
I get cholera.
What?
Cholera.
And
he was 17.
Ingrid has come up with some hard information about the ghost. The family name Hatton, the time they lived in Port Clyde, and a ship named Catherine. Holzer would eventually seek out the town historian, Colonel Albert Smaley, for corroboration.
now, to the best of your knowledge, does the name Samuel and Hatton mean anything in connection with this area?
Yes, Samuel Hatton lived at Port Clyde prior to 1850. That I'm sure about.
What profession did he have?
Sailor.
Was there a ship called the St. Catherine in this
Yes,
part?
there was.
And would it have been built at the Kennebec River? Or connected with it in some way?
As I recall, it was, and I believe it was built in the Sewell Yard in the Kennebec River.
Do you know the area of Port Clyde where the Leah Davis house now stands? Prior to this house, were there any houses in the immediate area?
I've always been told that there was a house there. The Davis that owned it told me that he built on an old cellar.
And how far back would that go?
The new house was built around 1870.
And there was one before that.
And there was one before that.